Jack and Rocky continued their travels along the scenic American roads, enjoying every moment. One day, driving through a mountainous area, they stopped on the shore of a lake to rest. Jack loved spending time outdoors, and Rocky was always there, ready to share in his joy. On this day, however, the weather had changed dramatically. The sky was covered with dark clouds and a heavy downpour began. Jack, not wanting to stay outside, decided they should find shelter. They quickly grabbed their belongings and headed for the nearest mountain shelter, which he knew was located nearby. As they approached the shelter, the rain intensified and the wind became cold. Jack felt his heart beat faster when he noticed that the front door was open and no one was inside. He suspected the shelter was closed, but hoping for the best, they went inside. It was quiet and gloomy inside. Jack looked around, hoping to find some protection from the weather. Rocky, sniffing the room warily, suddenly began to bark. Jack turned and saw his faithful friend pointing to a dark corner of the room. He moved closer and noticed that there lay an old shabby dog that seemed to be in poor condition. The dog was emaciated and shivering from the cold. Jack felt his heart clench. He knew he couldn't leave her here. He walked over to the dog and started stroking her, trying to calm her down. But suddenly he noticed that the dog had an injured paw and couldn't get up. At that moment, Jack felt that something was wrong. He became dizzy and started to lose consciousness. Once on the floor, he realized that he was affected by the cold and fatigue. Rocky, noticing that his master was not well, ran up to him and started licking his face, trying to wake him up. Jack opened his eyes and saw Rocky looking at him with concern. He tried to get up, but his strength left him. In a panic, he tried to call for help, but his voice was too weak. At that moment, he remembered the dog they had found. He knew he had to do everything he could to help both himself and her. Gathering his last bit of strength, Jack got to his feet and walked over to the dog. He pulled his first aid kit out of his backpack and treated its wound, trying to be as careful as possible. Rocky, watching what was happening, stayed close to his master, ready to support him at any moment. After treating the wound, Jack felt his head spinning again. He sat down on the floor next to the dog and, hugging Rocky, began telling him not to give up hope. "We're going to make it through this, friend. You're not alone," he whispered, feeling tears come to his eyes. In that moment, he realized that life is more than just adventures on the road. It's also about helping those in need. Rocky, realizing his master was in trouble, lay down next to Jack, resting his head in his lap. It was their mutual comfort in a time of need. After the rain subsided, Jack, gathering his strength, decided he needed to leave the shelter and find help for the dog. He rose to his feet, holding Rocky tightly by the leash, and leaning against the wall, slowly made his way toward the exit. Gathering his strength, Jack stepped outside and watched the sky begin to clear. He knew that there were many challenges ahead of them, but with Rocky by his side, he was ready to overcome any obstacles. With each step, Jack felt his heart fill with determination and hope. This difficult situation was an important lesson to him about the importance of caring for others, even when you are in trouble yourself. Jack and Rocky, having overcome this challenge, continued their journey, but now they knew that true strength lies in friendship and mutual help. Jack and Rocky walked out of the shelter, and although the rain had subsided, their hearts were full of anxiety. The dogs were more than just pets to Jack, they were members of his family. He knew they had many hardships ahead of them, but was determined to help not only Rocky, but also the poor dog they had met. Once outside, Jack looked around for help. Fortunately, he spotted a small auto repair shop in the distance. He remembered that such places often had kind people who could offer support. With Rocky by his side, Jack headed toward the service, hoping that not only could they help him there, but also the dog. When he got to the door, he was greeted by a stout man with a kind smile. "What's wrong, buddy?" he asked, noticing that Jack looked tired and worried. Jack explained the situation, telling him about the injured dog and how he himself had nearly passed out. "I'll help you," the man said, introducing himself as Bob. He quickly gathered the necessary items, a first aid kit, water, and a few towels. "Let's go see what we can do," he added, and together they headed back toward the shelter. When they got inside, Bob immediately assessed the dog's condition. "She looks emaciated, but with proper care we can help her," he said as he gently examined her wound. Bob began to treat it, and Jack, sitting beside him, felt hope stirring in his heart. Rocky, realizing that his friend was also in trouble, walked over to the dog and sniffed her gently. Jack was touched by the way Rocky showed concern. He knew that dogs had an amazing ability to sense emotions, and it was especially evident at this moment. After Bob finished treating the wound, he told Jack, "Now we need to feed her and give her some water. She'll behave better." Jack, full of gratitude, went to the nearest store to buy food and water for the dog. While he was at the store, he couldn't help but think about how much friendship and mutual help means, and how one kind act can change a life. When Jack returned, he saw that Bob was working out with the dog and he was already beginning to show interest in food. Jack happily fed her, and soon the dog began to regain his strength. Bob noticed how Jack cared for her and said, "You are a good man. There are a lot of people who wouldn't do that." After a few hours of work, the dog, whom Jack named Layla, looked much better. She could already stand on her feet and was even moving a little. Bob, seeing this, suggested to Jack, "If you decide to take her with you, I can help you with the traveling. I have a carrier and I can give you some food." Jack was touched by this offer. He knew he couldn't leave Layla behind, and now he had the opportunity to help her. "I'll take her with me, Bob. Thank you for your help," he said, and there was sincerity in his voice. Soon Jack, Rocky, and Layla left the auto shop. Jack felt like he had a new family now. He knew that with Rocky and Layla by his side, he could overcome any hardship. They got back on the motorcycle, and Jack realized with a smile on his face that their journey was just beginning. As they moved on, Jack couldn't help but think about his new friends. He knew that life on the road could be difficult, but with the support of his dogs, he felt stronger than ever. They drove through beautiful scenery, and Jack savored every moment, knowing that he now had two faithful companions. One day they stopped at a beautiful lakeside where Jack decided to spend the day relaxing. He spread out a blanket and fed his dogs. Rocky and Layla were playing merrily on the shore, and Jack felt his heart fill with joy as he watched them. He realized that life wasn't just about traveling, but about those who walk with you along the way. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in bright shades of orange and red, Jack sat on the shore and thought about how much he had been through lately. He remembered his dreams, his search for freedom on the road, and that true freedom lies in the ability to do good. In that moment, he decided that he would continue traveling not only for himself, but for those who needed help. Jack realized that he had the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of others and this became an important goal for him. When he returned to his dogs, they were snuggled up next to him, and Jack, stroking them, said, "We're going to do this, guys. We're going to help those in need." Rocky and Layla seemed to understand his words and wagged their tails in response, ready to follow their master. From that day forward, Jack, Rocky, and Layla became not only travelers but advocates for homeless animals. They began looking for shelters, participating in charity events, and sharing their stories, inspiring others to help those in need. Each new place they visited became not only a place of adventure, but also an opportunity to do something good. Jack realized that his life was full of meaning, and every day he found more and more joy in his actions. And despite all the difficulties they had overcome, Jack felt that with Rocky and Layla by his side, he was capable of handling any challenge. Their friendship became a source of strength, and together they traveled the road of goodness, leaving a trail of love and hope behind them.